Hey everyone, welcome to Cooking with Cope, a deck series where I want to talk about decks that aren't necessarily meta, but have still gotten some recent support that makes them pretty interesting. Today we're going to be talking about Diaboromon, a deck that hasn't gotten any support by name since EX1, yikes, but has gotten some pseudo support in BT-11 and is getting more in BT-12 that I think makes it worth discussing. First up, let's talk about the eggs of the deck. We're on one copy of the Sunamon from BT2. Whenever you attack, if you have another Digimon with the same name, it gets plus 2k. And then 4 copies of the BT5 Sunamon. Once per turn, when it attacks, you get to draw a card if it's unidentified, which pretty much everything in the deck is. These are pretty alright eggs. They're not super broken by modern standards. The BT2 Sunamon egg could probably be cut, but I have been poisoned by Mimi Tachikawa into always playing 5 eggs when I can. After that, we've got the rookies. We are on 4 copies of BT5 Caramon. On play, you can look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal a unidentified and a Errata Sonata, put them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom. 4 copies of BT2 Caramon. During your turn, when you play a Digimon with the same name, you can draw a card. Really, really strong once you start getting the token ball rolling. 3 copies of EX1 Caramon. During your turn, this Digimon gets plus 1k for each Digimon with the same name. This lets us get some pretty nasty numbers when we check security. And then after that, 2 copies of Chumon. During all turns, your opponents can't gain memory except by Tamers. Just probably the best floodgate to be playing in black right now, considering the other options. You could be playing cost-reduced blocker Chikurimon. It's really good against Crossheart. But other than that, I think that this is probably the best lineup. A lot of people are stopping running EX1 Caramon, but I think it's good enough still. Moving on next to the level 4s. We are on 4 copies of Kurisarimon from BT2. This guy says that during your turn, when you play another Digimon with the same name, you can gain a memory. Really, really strong when you get the tokens coming out. You can oftentimes get like free Digivolves just off of making tokens. 3 copies of the Kurisarimon from BT5. On Digivolve, if you don't control an Errata Sonata, you can play one from your hand for free, and then the inherited skill gives all of your Diaboromons Rush. 2 copies of Promo Kurisarimon. During all turns, your other Digimon, it technically received an errata. All of your other Digimon with the same name get Decoy Black White. Very, very strong for protecting, say, your security plus Diaboromon. After that, we're on 2 copies of Shademon. This is a blocker that pops out of security when it's checked. It's unidentified, so it's searchable. It can't attack, which is a bummer, but it's still a nice thing to have. That's level 4's arguably the most important part of the lineup, considering how strong the inheritables on BT2 and BT5 Kurisarimon are, with their abilities to just generate advantage or close out the game almost entirely on their own. After that, we're up to level 5s, and this is where that pseudo support comes in. We're on 4 copies of the new Mamemon from BT-11. On play or when Digivolving, you reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. You can play a Tamer that costs 4 or less from among them for free and put the rest on the bottom. This is really good because seeing Errata Sonata is the most important part of the deck. He's what makes our plays go. He's what gives us memory at the start of our turn. It also lets us find cards like Izzy or Alice that just really help boost our tempo. Also, it has the inheritable effect where when you play a Digimon by effect, you can give one of your Digimon blocker. This means that even if you don't have blocker Diaboromon out, whenever you make a token, you can still generate blockers. After that, we're on 3 copies of the BT2 Infamon. During your turn, when this would Digivolve into a Diaboromon, reduce the cost by 1. Nothing particularly crazy, but I don't find the other Infamons in the current format particularly powerful. EX1 Infamon has kind of gone down the drain in recent months. But this one lets us, again, get some little more bang for our buck actions per turn, etc. And then finally, BT-8 Chimeramon. I'm on 1 copy, but I would recommend bumping to 2 if you want, if you feel like it's good enough. This is hybrid for game a lot of the time. It lets you grab back important inheritable effects from trash. It's a free Digivolve if you need to bridge the gap between a 4 and a 6. Just overall, really strong. One of my favorite cards in the game, regardless of the deck it's in. On to finally the level 6s, the meat and potatoes of the deck. We're on one copy of Diaboromon from BT-5. When digivolving, you just make a single Diaboromon token. Nothing fancy, but it gives us a token, which is really important for low input value. Two copies of Promo Diaboromon. This is the one that's black instead of white, notably, which means it's searchable off of something like a black boost, and also for each Diaboromon you control, it gets security attack +1. This means that it counts itself, first of all, and second, for every token, that's another security check. Crazy powerful. It gives your low-statted Diaboromons basically swings on their own. If this guy ever connects, you're probably winning the game off the back of it. And then finally, 3 copies of EX1 Diaboromon. This one has when digivolving, or not when digivolving, when it's checked in security, you may make a Diaboromon token at the end of the turn, or at the end of combat, and then during your opponent's turn, all your Diaboromons gain blocker. Really, really powerful, gives your Diaboromon tokens a lot of utility since we're not playing the stat booster. Overall, just really strong. Moving on then to level 7s, we're just on a pair of Armageddon. This is sort of like the hybrid for game that the deck has. You drop this guy for 3 by eating one of your Diaboromons. It gets rush, and it stops the level 7 digivolving effects of your opponent's Digimon. This means that an opponent's Crimson mode, Blast mode, Omnimons, etc. won't get there when digivolving triggers. Also, another consideration for the deck is Quartzmon coming up next set, BT-12. Quartzmon says when digivolving, you suspend, I believe it's every other Digimon and Tamer, and they don't unsuspend ever. And then whenever it attacks, for every 5 suspended cards in play, you you trash the top card of your opponent's security. We could argue that that's better than Armageddon right now, just because there's not a lot of level 7s running around right now that, like, particularly matter. This was a lot better in something like a EX2 format, where every deck was on an Omnimon or a Crimson mode or something. But right now, I think that this is just really, really not quite as strong as Quartzmon will be next set. For Tamers, we're on a bit of a wide spread because we've got the Mamemon now. First up is 4 copies of Errata Sonata. At the start of your turn, if you've got an unidentified in the trash, you gain a memory, and whenever you go into a Diaboromon, you can suspend it to make a Diaboromon token. This is really, really strong. If you see 2, you're probably in a good spot. If you see 3 or even 4, you're probably winning the game just off the amount of advantage it provides. People aren't really playing Crimson Blaze anymore, and so your biggest fear of not being able to make the tokens is just gone. 3 copy of Izzy Izumi from BT4. Not the strongest, and you could arguably run Tai in its place just because he buffs your blockers, but being able to rearrange the top couple cards to your deck is really nice because you're able to either arrange your draws more favorably in key moments, or just be able to, like, put stuff that you know you don't want up top for, like, a search. Also, being a set to 3 Tamer is just really good. And then we've got 1 copy of Alice McCoy. This is a tech card that I started playing back in EX2. Whenever you digivolve from a level 5 into a level 6, once per turn, you can delete one of your other Digimon to reduce the cost by 3. Every Diaboromon costs 3 to go into. This means that you've got the ability to just generate a free Digivolve, and then using, like, Errata, make more tokens. It's a really, really nice include. It's only 2 memory, it's only 1 card in the deck, and it's searchable off Mamemon. And then finally, for our options, we're on 2 copies of Black Memory Boost. Black Boost notably can't grab Armageddon, Chimeramon, or most of the Diaboromons, but it grabs everything else in the deck. The Mamemons, Kurisarimons, it even grabs Promo Diaboromon. So we've got something we can grab at every level of the chain except 7. That and being able to get memory on key turns is always going to be important. So yeah, that's the deck. I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all in BT-12 with Quartzmon.